Welcome back to the nationally syndicated Price of Business Show. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Always love having you on the program, General Jeffrey Schloser, retired general. Love having him on the program. He brings so much perspective on everything from national security to leadership issues and more. And he's both a personal favorite and a show favorite. Always love having you on the program. Welcome back, General. Talk a little bit about, first of all, your book, which I love and highly recommend, and some of the things you've done now that you've retired and do now that you've retired from the Army.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah. So the book I wrote about my time in Afghanistan, commanding over 30,000 U.S. soldiers and sailors, Marines, and airmen. It's called Marathon War: Leadership and Combat in Afghanistan. You know, I mean, I didn't try to predict what would happen in Afghanistan back when I wrote the book, but a lot of it that you see inside the book does kind of foretell just exactly what occurred out there. More likely, though, I think people would find the book helpful as far as how do you lead in positions of chaos, whether it's in business, whether it's in, government, whatever. And so, I'm proud of the book. I still have a lot of people that talk to me about it, and I think it would be useful for a lot of our listeners to take a glance at. But thanks for allowing me to plug it. It's at you can get it at Amazon.com, but go to my website, Jeff Schloser, JEFFSCHLOESSER.com, and it will help you wade through it. I've got a blog there on national security items that pertain not only to business but other things. Thanks.
Yeah, I love it. Very important book, and I think it's very timely no matter what kind of leadership role you're in or aspire to. You may not be a leader, but aspire to that. And so I think it helps for that as well. So this Republican caucus is an extremely interesting one, this new House majority, Republican majority. And it is the most hostile, in my opinion, to the military. And, of course, they would use different language. They are pro-neutrality. But some of the things they're looking at budget-wise really goes at the essence of the ability for the military to even function. We're talking about some of the most basic aspects of running an army. And to me, it's bizarre. But this caucus reminds me so much of the post-World War I Republican crowd, the America First crowd. Of course, we've heard that now since 2016 when Trump ran. Very neo-isolationist, very we don't care about what's going on around the world. That's one of the reasons I think Hitler and the Japanese and, of course, the Italians became so powerful so quickly was because it was very clear that the United States was not going to be a check against it. And World War I may have dragged on another 2 or 3 years if the U.S. had not intervened, which, again, it was forced to intervene in that situation. And so when I think about this isolationist Republican Party, and I think about, post-World War I United States, very similar. What it led to was, I think, a situation leading and spiraling into a world war, where it may have been checked earlier with more involvement quicker by the U.S. They did, things like the Lend-Lease agreement and things like that. FDR tried to be as creative as humanly possible, but the message was clear. Unless they were directly attacked, they weren't going to get involved.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that you're absolutely right, Kevin. That I think all Americans need to take a hard look at at this caucus and ensure that they support people that actually support the security of the United States long term. So there is this, I would call it almost like yin and yang within the current Republican caucus, on the Hill, especially in the House. On the Senate, I think the Senate will balance it out. I'm also reassured that, Mike Rogers, who is, long-term representative out of Alabama, is actually going to be the House Armed Services Committee chair. This is a person that has long experience in national security affairs, and I don't think he's going to allow at least that committee to go off on a tangent. We should all be concerned, though, when, this is a very dangerous world, whether it's, Russia invaded Ukraine and, NATO trying to reinforce Ukraine as well as other allies besides NATO, whether it's the situation of Taiwan vis-a-vis China, You're recently seeing both, Canada basically adopted a much more aggressive Indo-Pacific strategy. Japan just adopted in its new 5-year plan a much more, I would say, aggressive defense plan. They're doing it for real reasons. And the United States needs to continue to pay attention. We need to play a leadership role, and we cannot have literally a handful of isolationists, neo-isolationists, take us away from our role in this world, which is important not only for all of our citizens and our allies, but for our business interests.
For the rest of the interview, click the links below.